Thank you so much, Aniket sir and Vaidehi, for this opportunity to be a part of this wonderful series of presentations to share my work, thoughts with people I greatly admire. Architect Rahul Mehrotra, who gave me a Tata Scholarship to do my Masters, for which I'm truly grateful. I'm so thrilled he is here today. I'm also very excited to see the works of Dhara and Nishant and other presenting designers who are a part of this series. My journey, of course, is still in a line of development, or it's still in a phase of progression. I've structured my presentation into approach, collective landscapes, and collaborative endeavors. VSLA started in 2013. It's a small garage practice in a studio which is a part of a converted garage in Bengaluru with a very small enthusiastic team. It's a personalized, hands-on practice. My professional practice too started in a similar way in a small, beautiful veranda practice several years ago as an architectural intern in Sri Lanka with Anjalendran C, being exposed and immersed in architecture, landscapes, both historic, contemporary, music and books. Subsequently, learning from wonderful mentors at the GST, such as Margie Ruddick, Gary Hildebrand, who had visionary ways of looking at the profession. Their work and approach was sensitive, beautiful, yet their work had depth and technical sophistication. Equally learning from leading ecologists and scientists and later working at cutting-edge practices have all been absolutely influential in my way of thinking as well as practice. As a student at the GST, I won a grant to study Sigiriya as an experiential landscape. So this connection with Sri Lanka has sustained over the years. Unlike Western landscapes, cultural landscapes in India and South Asia are extremely immersive, bridging the distance between the viewer and the landscape, where the viewer is more a participant in the landscape. As a practice, we seek to approach landscape not through the Western lens, but to capture the essence of our own context, to celebrate our rich design history, culture, craft, and plant palette, while embracing the challenges of site and resources while humanizing the built. We also seek an aesthetic that is derived from the ecological tectonic and the beauty of the everyday ordinary. The experience and perception of our cultural landscapes requires the use of all our senses. So each of our projects aims to be a layered reading of the site, and each landscape is a sensory experience, not just a two-dimensional image. These are some of the residential projects that I've been a part of. I think gardens are an important, private projects and gardens are an important premise to actually explore developing landscapes which can be applied in other projects. Also important to our practice is to create a value system based approach towards the design of landscapes that links the emotional and spiritual with the metric. We also see a great potential in integrating the knowledge from the historic past, a design sensibility and aesthetics into a contemporary language of designed landscapes to meet the challenges of today as well as the future. As I returned to India and established practice, I started my first project with Neve Academy. Keeping in mind that the rich and traditional belief system in India makes it possible to experience the ordinary, extraordinary in everyday ordinary. A large goal of VSLA is to enrich this experience of the everyday ordinary in our work. The idea behind the landscape at Neve was to really create a meaningful, didactic, playful experience for children through the landscape. We looked at creating several environments this one, in a tight site and converting it into an experience which is about ephemerality, where the children experience the seasonal flows of a dried stream and a riverbed, and when activated by a hand pump, it becomes a stream landscape where they actually study about the dynamics of water. So Neve was a delightful project to work on with a visionary client and wonderful architects, 100 Hands and Venkatraman involved. Our second project, so what I discovered through this process is collaboration with clients and designers who share similar sensibilities. And through practice, I've always tried to work on these collaborations of shared concerns. Practice has also been, in our practice, concerns for livability, environmental remediation, importance of actually formulating an ecological premise for design is very important to us. Dealing with unconventional in many ways, more through a systemic approach to design, where we actually look at revealing hidden ecologies. This remains very important to our work. One such challenging project has been Big Brewski, a large microbrewery, one of the largest, I suppose, in India, located in Hennur. This was truly a challenging project, which we worked on with Matthew Ghosh Architects. The challenge here was this large microbrewery had large-scale brewing equipment. So most of the structure was on slab, leaving very little room to ground or access to ground. So this was the challenge. The architecture was beautiful. The idea was to almost create a ruin. And the idea behind the landscape was for the planting to take over and provide another dimension to this ruinscape. So open space available for planting was minimal. There were large footfalls and density of people. So everything used needed to be hardy to sustain urban stresses, large volumes and flow of people. So the idea of how do you create a sense of planting and lushness in an environment that was totally concrete and on slab was the challenge. So this is where an unconventional approach of really looking at stone ledges, because Brewski had a rapid flowing water body in the center. So really looking at the idea of water, stone ledges actually accommodating planting. So these were some of the ideas behind what could really happen and how we could really inculcate a sense of planting within this whole scheme. So this is an image of the structure of Brewski prior to planting. And this is, after the landscape intervention. So it's a totally different experience during the day and during the night. It really creates very cool microclimate with addressing challenges of massive water, rapid speeds, also creating a performative landscape. The last project that I'd like to highlight in approaches Bangalore International Centre, a remediation landscape located in the heart of Bangalore, remediating, restoring, rehabilitating spaces through landscape intervention is very key to our practice. The architects were 100 Hands. BIC is actually at the heart of Bangalore. It's a democratic public institution for cross-cultural ideas and dialogues, hosting programs that are totally free and open to public. A wonderful building that's been designed by 100 Hands architects. BIC opened last year and has hosted numerous events till lockdown. So this is an image of, the whole project had very limited open space. This is an image from the lobby. And one of the key aspects was that the entire soil was degraded. It was located besides a heavily polluted nala, which has been converted into a linear greenway. I'd like to show you a small film on actually crafting of the landscape at BIC, which will show you our concern and challenges. The site was actually really small, about an acre, with really high programmatic built requirements, almost 185-seat auditorium, associated services, living room only for the front, a driveway and very linear gardens, as well as a public corridor towards the back that faced a heavily polluted Nala. We love to embrace challenges. So, this compact site with degraded soils, polluted water was a challenge. We've chosen to address it almost by creating a linear greenway in front, which is open and welcomes the public into the space, and the Nala corridor, which is, the buffer to the Nala corridor has been converted into a permeable textural walkway that is a rain garden that filters and cleanses water and soils through the landscape. Also an experiential corridor for people of the city to use, a moment of respite, almost an oasis. These are some of the drawings that you will see of how we dealt with the space, the narrow setbacks and constraints, and actually using a systemic approach to create almost this feeling of being cut away even in the heart of the city. So VSLA's practice from the beginning has been to actually contribute to the public realm by doing socially and ecologically relevant projects. As we feel that landscape architects in India and South Asia need to really move beyond designing to become activists to create an awareness for an ecological premise to design, and to also bring about, therefore also bring about visibility to the profession, to create stewards of the environment. So also looking at having landscape architecture being included as an integral part of infrastructure planning within cities, and not only in superficial beautification. And to generate this dialogue, I would like to take you through the next chapter of my presentation, which is really crucial and important: collective landscapes. So Open Space Collective is a platform that we've created to catalyze people, designers, non-designers, to come together to revitalize open spaces in our cities, to create a dialogue between public and people and designers to contribute towards creating great open spaces. We'd like for Open Space Collective to be an open source resource available to all within the city. One of our first projects has been Nama Park. Built in 2017, it's a tiny pocket park, less than 0.2 acres, located in a dense neighborhood of Jayanagar in South Bangalore, which we have envisaged as an urban living room for the people within the community, the residents. It was once this degraded landscape strewn with litter, burning, a lot of trash. But now, with coming together of another architect and the local corporator Nagaratna, has been converted into a space that functions as a living room for the residents of the community, people who live in 20 by 30 feet houses, numerous, 12 to 15 numbers of them, to come together, women to come together and spend time almost using it as a living room. So this is the space that's been created. We're also, our second project through Open Space Collective is really revitalizing a historic Bangalore park, Kumara Park, once the home and gardens of the Diwan of Mysore, Sheshadri Iyer, which is of cultural significance, yet it has been forgotten. We are working with a group of lawyers from Just Learning and a private citizen sponsor who lives in the neighborhood to create a children's park, as well as infuse a narrative of history and culture into the main park. This is an ongoing project which we are currently working on. And our third project that we'd like to highlight is creating a water harvesting pond and a public space in a small village in Chittoor district in Andhra Pradesh, Vengalkuppam, by a high school and a Ganesha temple. This was a self-initiated and self-built effort by the villagers of Vengalkuppam. This is a project we've worked on in collaboration with 100 Hands Architects. So what was a barren, open depression within the landscape has been converted into a rainwater harvesting pond within 6 months, self-built by the villagers, and also a public park used by the villagers on a daily basis. This particular project attracts people in large numbers for the Dasara Harikatha ceremony. So project started in March 2017 and completed by October 2017. These are early pictures, but I'm sure the project has changed over time. We hope to have more people be a part of Open Space Collective, join us and catalyze such rehabilitation of open space efforts within the city. The third and final effort of what we do is collaborative endeavors. Ideas of contextually appropriate design, interdisciplinary design and inspired collaborations from designers from our region, and creating opportunities for younger designers, especially during these difficult times, led to the creation of Design United, a platform connecting emerging designers, students of design across South Asia.
In a socially distanced world,
small film
Design
about
United
Design
is an optimistic digital platform for collaborative design and connection. Design United was created in March 2020 during a period of intense lockdown and quarantine measures within the region. The aim behind Design United was to create an optimistic space for regional dialogue, connections, collaborations, and opportunities for young regional designers and design practices. A much needed network of support and peer mentorship during these uncertain times. Talented young designers and design studios working on design innovation with an approach that is relevant to our South Asian region have been invited to be a part of the platform. We also encourage design students from the region to share their work, be involved in the dialogue, and to be an active part of Design United. Design United, most of all, believes in creating a community of designers and design knowledge that is largely contextual, with focus on contributing to the environment and our community. Design United believes greatly in a spirit of collaboration and idea exchange.
Design United connects emerging designers from across South Asia. We've had interdisciplinary designers, young emerging designers, in different design disciplines join us through dialogue and conversation. We feature various segments that revolve around inspired reading, design reading, makers of books, authors. We feature products that is based on sustainability, identify heritage, innovative projects that are contextually appropriate, and we also had our first seminar with some brilliant designers joining us. We've had 40 design conversations, 10 mentorship sessions, and 5 progress sessions discussing process. Design United aims to bridge the gap between students, designers, and mentors overall. At the end of the day, VSLA and practice hopes to be collaborative. We would like to be involved in creating dialogue towards a more collaborative, involved, culturally appropriate, sensitive landscapes. Thank you so much for this opportunity.